Faith Akande, you are here first, indeed, 10,000 Pine Points. Thank you so much for being here first. A long time ago, because unlike usual, I scheduled this an hour and a half in the past. So Nathan could do his live stream. I was going to go live, and then I realized Nathan was going to go live. And usually I don't care, but this time I cared. See, I'm a softie. 5,000 Pine Points to Moonshoes and 1,000 Pine Points to Grayback. Thank you guys for being here. And Slime Mold 1005. How appropriate that you're here fourth, you're the biggest loser, and your name is Slime Mold. Nobody likes slime, nobody likes mold, and nobody likes you. And Slime Mold is sitting there like, I can take it. Serenity now. Okay, I want to talk about a couple things. Hey, welcome, Nathan. I had loads more questions, but I just didn't get to them. Because of me? No, don't. You could have just kept going, Nathan. You didn't have to stop your live stream because I went live or was planning to. That's fine. Well, maybe after I go through the stuff I want to go through, you can come on and ask the questions that you wanted to ask and didn't have time for. How's my volume? I'm getting really upset. Is my volume okay? Because last time I wasn't loud enough, and Windows 10 is messing around with my volume levels. I can set it to 100%, and then is there any high-tech guys here who can solve this problem? I know that I've unclicked certain things like for other applications not to take control, and it seems like it doesn't help. But today is Myron's day off. He went to Disney World. He's never seen Rise of the Resistance, so he said he wanted to take the day off to go there. And I said, okay, have fun, kid. My volume's okay? Okay. Before we get into Daryl Davis, which I think is the solution to all of the world's problems, this man named Daryl Davis. And if you haven't heard of him, you will today. And if you have heard of him, you know exactly what I'm talking about and how it's appropriate for this time, this week. But I am wondering, how did Pints of Aquinas get Mark Wahlberg on his channel? Well done. What's his name? What's this guy's name? I should know his name. He offered me $1,000 to come on his channel. I wonder if he offered Mark Wahlberg $1,000 to come on his channel. If not, doesn't that make me more important than Mark Wahlberg? What's this guy's name? It slips my tongue. This Catholic, it's Matt Fradd. Hey, I did it without even looking at the chat. Matt Fradd, right? Yeah, it's Matt Fradd. Congratulations that you pulled this off. Like, is it because you're Catholic and he's Catholic, and that's the only reason why you could do this? I mean, I can hardly wait until the next superstar in Hollywood is a Mennonite. And I tell you, then you guys are going to appreciate that you know me, because I'm going to bring this superstar in because I'm Mennonite and they're Mennonite, and they're going to come in. It's like, I know a guy who talked to this person because he's famous. Okay, I'm going to play this and see what Mark Wahlberg has to say. I've listened to this before, and there's a couple parts that I thought piqued my interest.
I just got done watching Father Stu, and I really bloody enjoyed it. It was raw and gritty, and
see, that's what I like about Catholics. You can swear, you can drink, you can cuss, you can't have sex before marriage, and you can't do in vitro fertilization. But almost all the pleasures of life you can do. You can eat as much cheesecake as you want as a Catholic. It doesn't matter. They're not as uptight as the evangelicals are, and that's what I like about Catholics.
Inspirational. So thank you for making it and putting a lot of your dollars behind it. When did you first hear about the real Father Stu, and why did you decide to make his story into a movie?
I first heard about Father Stu's story at a dinner, 5 o'clock on a Saturday. With
knowing Mark's past and seeing him with that black and the white collar makes me laugh.
2 priests, and one priest who just want to kind of order his meal, and the other one was just like really adamant about pitching me on a movie. And I was like, both of us, the other, me and the other Father Orion were kind of like, why is he doing this? He told me the story the first time, wasn't really paying attention. Then he started telling me again, and something within the story just kind of got my attention. I asked him to start over. And by the end of that dinner, I committed to making that movie. I knew that this was coming.
By the end of that dinner, he was committed to make. How many drinks were you drinking? Were you drinking scotch, Mark? By the time I was sloshed and really drunk, I agreed to make the movie. I'm just kidding. I'm sure that didn't happen.
To me for a reason. This was an opportunity for me to use my platform and, tell an amazing story. At the same time, also, I mean, I really couldn't find any reason not to want to make the movie. I mean, as an actor, where do you find a better role with such a better arc and, a character who...
A better role than being a Roman Catholic priest?
Transforms in so many ways.
I can think of better roles like Superman, Batman. By the way, I did not like the last Batman.
Stu was such a colorful guy. There were a million reasons to want to make the movie and not one to shy away from making the movie.
Whoa.
We got a lot of men who watch this podcast and who are trying to be good, faithful Catholic men.
Yes. There's a lot of men who watch Matt Fratt and they're faithful, and they do this to get beautiful Catholic women. That's a true story. In fact, it's peer reviewed. If you see my Twitter, there's actually a peer review on that. In Western societies where men don't need to be dominant over women, then the only reason left to to agree with your wife on religion is coitus. Mm-hmm.
I think Father Stu can teach them in regards to that.
Amen. That they're on the right track. And, look, we all make mistakes. Mm-hmm. We've all had issues, but God's never going to give up on you. Never. So keep going, keep grinding, and, open your arms.
He gave up on Job for a time. Or I'll just let Satan do what he wants with him.
Arms in your heart.
Well, and isn't there verses about God giving people over to their sinful desires? Oh, wait a minute. I think I got a point here. Mark said, God will never give up on you. Oh, God will never give up on Catholics. I think that's what he meant to say. But he does give up on the depraved, the debauched, the people full of chicanery, right? He gives them over to their lustful desires. But all things work for good to those Catholics who love Jesus.
To somebody else next to you might be struggling and continue to pay it forward. And, we've got a big challenge ahead of us, but we're all up to the task. And we all need to come together. We need to encourage everybody to just do a little bit more.
Now, I'm sure you've been asked this a billion times, but I cannot believe that you gained 30 pounds in 3 weeks. And I'm more impressed that you look the way you look now after having gained.
Yeah, someone sent this to me and let me know about this. I forget your name, subscriber, I'm assuming. Thank you so much. Mark Wahlberg is about to explain how myth and legend developed in the Gospels. Take a listen.
30 pounds. What was that like, gaining that much weight?
It wasn't 3 weeks. You know how the story starts, right? And then the myth grows. Next time I do the interview, it'll probably be, you gained 30 pounds in 3 hours. How did you do it, Mom? Tell me the bloody story.
Right.
No, I just try to put on as much weight as possible. And I didn't want to kind of do the actory put on weight thing. I mean, I've done it many times, but it was such an integral part of Stu's journey. And most of his life was predicated on his physical prowess. And so for him to kind of lose that, but gain so much strength spiritually, you really wanted to see that. And that was a big part of the story. So I put on about 30 pounds in 6 weeks altogether. We had 30 days to shoot the movie. So what happened was we shot the fight.
That tells you there's not a lot of money behind it if it's only 30 days. That's like a Rocky movie, right? It wasn't the first Rocky in 30 days? Or I don't know, but very short. So it's a low budget film. Not to say it's bad.
Scenes the first day, and that night I started eating. And it was not fun. You'd think it's fun for a while if you eat all your favorite foods, but I had 2 porterhouse steaks that night, a baked potato, and anything else I could get in, and that felt great. And that I got home about 10 o'clock, and then at 4 o'clock in the morning I was being woken up only to eat again. and eating steaks and bacon and eggs and all these things, and there was no like, where are the cakes, where are the cookies, where's the ice cream? That stuff didn't exist. So not fun at all, but very much called for the role.
One thing that a lot of there's very few people in society, but they exist, who struggle to put on weight. And I remember like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I tried purposely to like gain 40 pounds in a certain amount of time. And I ate as much as I could, and I couldn't do it. Like my son struggles with that right now. He wants to put on weight. And it's like, for some people to gain weight, and just the idea of eating and eating and eating is just so horrible. For people who get older, your metabolism slows down or whatever. It's much easier to gain weight. But yeah, it's tough for some people to gain weight. But it seems like these actors have a skill of putting on 30 pounds in 30 days and taking it off in 30 days. But I guess they got they spend like $100,000 a year on personal trainers and dietitians and all that.
Mel Gibson was absolutely hilarious.
I'm praying for you, Bill.
Don't you dare. You're violating my rights.
I think he did a great job in this film. What's it like working with Mel Gibson? And did the fact that the two of you share the Catholic faith help the movie?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, him, and his whole experience with the making of The Passion of the Christ and how he just took it upon himself to get that movie made. I really took a page out of his book.
How many Christians, I wonder, watch Passion of the Christ more than once? I've seen bits of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing. But isn't that a hard movie to watch more than one time? Like, if I was a movie producer, I would try to make movies that people would want to watch 10 times over their life. And there's only a handful of movies where I've done that.
Book to do that. I was constantly asking for advice. He had played my dad in Daddy's Home 2. Yep. And Bill's first choice, second choice, and third choice was always Mel to play him in the film. And, he also has a lot of real life experience, and to be able to go in and be as raw as he was, he did a fantastic job. And so, he was very, very helpful.
Do you think that Hollywood is surprised that movies like this that take religion seriously do so well? There's been a spate of them the last few years.
I think it'll continue to open people's eyes. And again, we're
Are faith-based movies doing well? Like, I guess you could say in one sense they are, but you have to compare it to like other movies that are not faith-based, like Batman. Although I hate the last Batman. I don't know why. I did not like the last. No, I think I know why, but I'm not going to get into it.
We're just trying to encourage people to, especially now, it's very difficult times for everybody. We all know somebody who's lost somebody with COVID. We've all struggled with the whys of the world.
Actually, you know what? That's not true for me. I personally don't know anyone who's died from COVID. Like, when I say no, I mean my wife knows some people who have, but I don't know them. My parents know a lot of people that have, but I really don't know them. I know their names maybe. But people that I've actually had a conversation with for more than 5 minutes, I don't think I know anyone who's died from COVID. Am I rare? Is it just because I never leave the house? Maybe that's it.
All dealing with the inevitable, which is mortality. And so to see how Stu handled that with grace and dignity, and how it's encouraging people to embrace those things, and obviously to be supportive and loving and never giving up on people. Those are all very important messages, and hopefully they'll embrace it more. I know I've been talking to the studio now about doing much more faith-based content, both in film and television, long form and short form. And they've been...
Matt, you look like you're going to cry. He must be a little bit nervous.
Very, very receptive. So I think, you want to make movies that are original stories that inspire people, make people feel really good, and encourage and inspire them and challenge them to do good things. It's pretty amazing. There's still room for lots of blockbusters, lots of superhero movies, and some kind of, original, inspiring, true stories as well.
What was great about this is it didn't get preachy. It didn't put, being preachy over the just story. I think a lot of religious movies, as well as latest kind of woke movies, just kind of come off too heavy-handed, and people are turned off by that. But this was not that at all. This is a really gritty, awesome movie. Final question for you is, you haven't always been, from what I know, a faithful Catholic. what changed and yeah, what changed?
Okay, this was the other part that piqued my interest. So take a listen to this.
Well, I had a really tough upbringing, and then when I realized I wanted to make change, I started to just focus on my faith. And when I did that, I started getting all these wonderful little things happening in my life. And
Yeah. So whenever a Christian says that Christianity is not a crutch for them, that's bogus. It is, at least for a great percentage of the population. I know a little bit about Mark Wahlberg's past. Like, he was not a really good guy. And so any change, any incremental change is probably a good one in his life. And so he went back to his Roman Catholic roots. Like simple things like being kind to others, your life will automatically improve, right? Not getting drunk every night and doing reckless behavior, your life's going to improve. But you don't need God to not do those things.
That to my faith, and so that's what I just kept focusing on. And obviously, you know, it's every day could be a challenge and a struggle for various reasons, but you know, in my faith, I attribute all of my success and all the positive things and wonderful things that happened to me personally and professionally to my faith.
Yeah, but what about the negative things? Do you attribute any negative things to your faith? This is one of those things that kind of bothers me, and I think a lot of other non-believers, is like God always gets the credit and never the blame. And I'm a man of fairness. I think if you're going to give someone credit for something when they do something good, you should also blame them when they do something bad, right? Isn't that fair?
It all kind of comes back to that basic foundation.
I heard elsewhere that you got a pretty rigorous daily routine. People want to know, what does your daily prayer look like?
You know, I just kind of wake up. The first thing I do is I go, you know, get on my hands and my knees. I'll even start just praying there when I'm laying in bed.
When I first heard this, I said to myself, I would never say this out loud to people listening, but when I heard this, I said BS to myself. And then the next sentence out of his mouth kind of confirmed it.
Thing I do is I go, you know, get on my hands and my knees. I'll even start just praying there when I'm laying in bed, and then I get up.
Yeah, the first thing I do is I go on my hands and knees, but sometimes I just lay in my bed. I know this is petty, but it's just kind of fun.
Up and then after that, I do my daily devotional readings, and I feel pretty good that I can handle whatever comes my way after that. And then I go do my workout, and I feel really good, and I'm like, oh, wow.
This is what made me really laugh. I start my day by sometimes just laying in my bed and praying, and then I feel good after that. And then I go to the gym and work out, and then I really feel good. Okay, so let's give some good advice to people, to Christians, to Catholics, to theists listening, Jews, Muslims. I know that religion, your faith, helps you. It makes you feel good, helps you get through your day. But what's even better, according to Mark Wahlberg? Going to the gym, pumping some iron. And Mark Wahlberg is right. We all need to exercise more. Half of you flag-waving phonies listening right now, you got a little fat hanging around your belly, right? Am I right? Me too. I'm not just... Every time you point a finger, there's 4 pointing back at you, right? So let's all take Mark Wahlberg's advice, not with the getting down on your knees and praying, but let's hit the gym. You don't have to go to a little gym, but let's all do some more exercise. I want my viewership to be the healthiest, strongest viewership on YouTube. That's never going to happen. But I can dream a dream, right? So if there ever became a war, a civil war, where the PineCreeksters are against another YouTube channel, we are going to win. Because we got guns. No, not that, like muscle guns. I'm a pacifist. I mean, the best deterrence is the appearance of power. Okay, that's all I wanted to do here. It's kind of funny and lighthearted. And again, congratulations to Matt Frad from Pints of Aquinas to getting a big star in. I'm sure you didn't have to pay him $1,000 to come on, and you're just willing to do this for free. So I mean, hats off to you. And I'm just looking for the day when I can get a Mennonite, a famous Mennonite, which doesn't exist, to come on my channel. Maybe there are some famous Mennonite actors or actresses. Oh, you're not supposed to say actresses anymore, right? You're just supposed to say actors. Just like you're not supposed to say stewardesses anymore. Okay, this is the thing I really wanted to talk about today, which is apropos. And it's a man named Daryl Davis. As you can, and this is not Daryl Davis. This is Daryl Davis. And he is, as you can see, a man with dark skin shade. Yeah, I should start a workout live stream every day, Josh Howard. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'll do two workout live streams. One for people, for conservatives who lean right, like we'll really pump iron. And then one for the left-leaning people. You know, we'll maybe just do yoga or something like that. No, that made me laugh. Come on, you lefties. You're laughing, right? Come on, smile a little bit. But anyhow, he's an African-American man, which is different than being black, by the way. Not all black people are African-American, and not African-Americans are, no, all African-Americans are black, right? I think that's true. And he has a method, a way to talk to people, which I think is the most effective in the world, because how can you get more different than an African-American man like Daryl Davis and a KKK person? And look at this picture. They're shaking hands. First of all, you know what? I'm going to do a poll. Have you heard of Daryl Davis before now? No. Get rid of that. There. Because I'm curious to know, like, I really hope people have heard of Daryl Davis. So vote right now. I'm very curious to know if you know this guy before I play any of the clips. And I got 3 here that I want to play. One from Joe Rogan. I'm scared to play this one. Am I going to get dinged if I play a TEDx talk? I think I will, right? But I think I'll be okay if I play something from Joe Rogan and from a news corporation. Okay, I'm curious to see here. Oh, this is good. I like this. Over 100 votes in already. And the majority have not heard of Daryl. You guys are in for a real treat. You guys are in for a real surprise. And this live stream is going to change your life. For people who lean right, people who lean left, people who call themselves conservative, people progressives or liberals, whatever you call yourself, this video is going to change your life. So I'm glad you're here. Let's start the life-changing process right now, shall we?
Those who will not look beyond the picture of me. There'll be those who will not look beyond the picture of me shaking hands with a Klansman in a robe and hood. And of course, they'll have that visceral reaction like, what the hell is going on here?
It is something we never see. A black man attending KKK rallies where crosses are burning and racist views are being spewed.
Some of their beliefs are that African Americans, black people, are born with smaller brains, that we are inherently lazy, we are inherently prone to crime, raping people, especially white women.
Despite that offensive ideology, Daryl Davis has spent decades befriending members of the Ku Klux Klan.
How do you talk to someone when someone's calling you the N-word?
How do you talk to someone when someone's calling you the N-word? How do you talk to someone when someone calls you a fascist? Or a tree-hugging, granola-crunching liberal? How do you talk with me when I call you names? Well, Daryl Davis is going to tell you how.
Because you take the higher road. You know who you are.
There is one question Daryl has repeatedly asked members of the Klan.
How can you hate me when you don't even know me. They've never had an answer that they can come up with that justifies how they can hate me.
His conversations with Klansmen resulted in something Daryl never expected.
I would find things in common. And as I began to build on those commonalities.
Yes. Oh, this is so good. It's almost so good it makes me cry. And this is what I try to do on my channel. Like even what I did here earlier, the silly thing with Matt Fradd, and congratulating Matt Fradd, saying great job for bringing on this actor and agreeing with Christians on certain things. You got to find common ground and not just say, oh, you agree with this person? Well, then I'm out of here. This is disgusting. It reminds me of the other day when I had Rob Price on. I didn't see it when it was live, but when I rewatched it, I saw it. And I kind of remember some people telling me this. But Robert Price said the word Oriental. And Matt Dillahunty was in the live stream. And as soon as Matt Dillahunty heard the word Oriental, he says, I'm out, and he's gone. Matt, if you ever hear this live stream, I'm not saying this to bash you. I'm saying, please be a little bit more like this Daryl Davis guy. Because Oriental doesn't even apply to you, and you felt so insulted that you stopped listening. This guy gets called basically a rapist, an animal, has a smaller brain than other people say to him, to his face. And he sits there and he listens to them and he tries to find common ground. He takes the higher ground. He tries to understand their views, why they think he has a smaller brain. Well, if we weighed my brain compared to yours, would that change your mind? A little street epistemology there. This is amazing.
The things that we had in contrast as trivial as skin color began to matter less and less. And as I built upon those commonalities, a relationship was formed.
In the last 30 years, Daryl says 200 members across the country have left the KKK as a direct result of his involvement.
Look at that. You think just calling people names is effective? No. Actually having relationships with people, that's effective. Like when I started my poker nights Wednesdays, and then there's like the street epistemology version on Sundays, I don't think I'm exaggerating here. I think politically we got a nice distribution. But we're more open to hearing each other, what we have to say, because we're building up common ground and relationship. And not just saying, oh, you're part of that tribe? Get out of here. Not going to listen to you. Oh, you're of this color? No, don't talk. You're that color? You don't have the right to talk now. This type of thinking has to stop if, got to say that 3 times for woke people, if you want change.
Vicious, very violent, and very racist. But at the very end, he said that he respected me.
Many of those who've left have given Daryl their robes and hoods. He keeps them in his home. It's a journey that is documented in the film Accidental Courtesy.
I consider Frank to be my friend.
I consider Daryl to be my friend as well.
What do you think about...
Now, I must say that looked a little awkward, like it was a commercial for
I consider Frank to be my
Wheaties.
friend.
I consider Daryl to be my friend as well.
Not a commercial for Wheaties, a commercial for Whiteys. Oh, see, that's a racist joke, right? Well, laugh a little. But this, yeah, that looks really awkward.
What do you think about the current tension in America?
The culture of racism existed long before Donald Trump, long before President Obama, long before Bush or Clinton or whoever. We, American citizens, are to blame for fostering that culture of racism. Talking about race in this country has been taboo for a very long time. People don't want to talk about it.
Daryl believes the only way to end racism is to confront it head on.
Progress is made when you give somebody a platform where they can express their views even if you don't agree with them.
This is why I'm playing this video. Is it loud enough? Can you guys hear it?
Head on.
Progress is made when you give somebody a platform where they can express their views, even if you don't agree with them.
Progress is made when you give somebody a platform to express their views, even if you don't agree with them. And I want to give Nathan from DigitalGnosis a big round of applause for doing just that today, just prior to this live stream. Because I know Nathan disagrees with Robert Price more so than me, and he handled that wonderfully. I mean, this is how it's done, in my opinion. And if you disagree, why? Like, look at the evidence of this guy. He's highly effective. And he does that by resisting the knee-jerk reactions of people and what they assume of him, and he listens to them.
When two enemies are talking, they're not fighting, they're talking. It's when the talking ceases that the ground becomes fertile for violence.
Amen. Okay, yeah, it's hard to fight and talk at the same time because you're always winded, right? So how's your day today? Right? You can't do them at the same time. It's either one or the other. So I prefer talking over fighting. Okay, this is Daryl Davis. He goes more into detail of his life. And I want to bring up that poll again. Have you heard of Daryl Davis before now? It's 55% no, 45% yes. So this is great. Did it change at all? Yeah, it did change. Okay, so it's kind of plateaued. So over half of you have not heard this before, so that's great.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Now, Daryl, I want to talk to you about your personal experience on Minds with this, with what you do, what you're known for. Have you had interactions with people on Minds that have been favorable, that you've kind of pushed people into a
I've had a few, and I've had my share of detractors. Some people think what I'm doing is totally wrong and don't get me or whatever. But yeah, I've had interactions with some people.
When you say like people have said it's totally wrong, like what kind of criticisms do they have for that?
It depends upon where they're coming from.
By the way, this is why Joe Rogan's popular. What's happening right now? He's asking questions and letting people talk. Of course, he gives his thoughts here and there.
People think it's not my job to teach white people how to treat us. Us meaning black people.
Mm-hmm.
Others think it's ridiculous to sit down with a white supremacist. Why would you waste your time? Those people can't change.
Would you point to your success ratio? Because it's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, I point to that. But a lot of people, they don't see that because they would not tolerate the time to sit down and have somebody tell them some nonsense that Jews are the childs of the devil or some crazy things like that. I will sit and listen to that, and I will put up with it. Because in order for me to speak my mind, I have to listen to somebody else's.
Yes.
Right? So they're not willing to put in that time.
Yeah, see, this is the thing that there's an assumption there that you have to push back. You have to push back. You have to push back. That's false, 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 false. You can actually get more accomplished by not pushing back, at least all the time. You got to give your opinion at some point, right? So when someone is being heard, they feel like they're being heard and understood, then you're modeling the behavior you desire, and they're more likely to listen to your side now.
I am.
Yeah. And so how do you have the time to do this?
This is what I do. In between my music gigs.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what kind of commitment are you talking about? Like, how much time do you spend doing this?
A lot. I mean, it's my life now.
How many email dialogues?
Oh God, I get emails all the time. I get emails from people I don't even know. I even get emails from people who've seen me on podcasts or on TV shows. These are white supremacists, Klansmen, whatever, and say, you made some sense in it. Would you like my robe? I've even gotten robes in the mail from people I don't even know. Yes. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of sad people that just need a group of people to belong to, and they'll decide that what these people are saying makes sense because at least they'll be a part of it.
Let me explain something.
Yes, I agree with that. It's called tribalism. It's like, and it's everywhere. It goes from sports teams to KKK to BLM to wokeism to Republican to conservatives to liberals, Democrats. It's like we have this thing that binds us together and we feel safe. And what the thing that Daryl Davis can do is he can put himself into environments where he doesn't feel safe, and that where he is called all these things, thought of horribly, and he can hear them out. Now here's the question though. Are some people incapable of doing what Daryl Davis can do? Yeah, atheism is a tribe too, Jim Cummins. I didn't mention religion. But here's a real question. I don't know the answer to this. Is it true that some people are just incapable of doing what Daryl Davis can do? Have people call him the worst things, think the worst things about him, and him take the higher ground and just listen? Or do you think it can be learned? That people can be trained to do it? I'm hoping it's the latter.
To you. One's perception, as you already know, one's perception is one's reality. Okay? You cannot change anybody's reality. If you try to change their reality, you're going to get pushback because they only know what they know. Whether it's real or not, it's their reality. So what you want to do is you want to offer them a better alternative perception. And if they resonate with your perception, then they will change their own reality. Because
this is one of the biggest complaints against street epistemology when you raise doubt into Christians or Muslims or Mormons or whatever, is that if you don't offer them a replacement, you're going to harm them. But what Daryl Davis is saying here is, in order to change them, you have to have that replacement beforehand. I'm not sure if I agree with this, but I totally get what he's saying, and it definitely helps. Because for me, I didn't need a replacement for Christianity. But maybe I do, and I just don't recognize it. Like, okay, is that true? But what would it be? Because, like, did atheism replace my Christianity? Not really. Atheism is just a bunch of people not believing in God. And I disagree with most atheists on political views. So it's not like, oh, I'm warm and fuzzy and nice in this tribe. And atheists, I mean, they disagree not just on politics, other things as well. So I'm not sure what I replace Christianity with. Maybe it's just living.
Because their perception becomes their reality. Just a quick example. Let's say you got a 7 or 8 year old brother, right? And he goes to a magic show with his buddies. And he comes back and tells you, Joe, you know, this magician, he asked for a female volunteer and 50 women raised their hand. He picked up this one, come up on stage. He told her to climb into this long box and stick her feet out that hole and put her head out this hole. And then he closed the lid, told her to wiggle her feet, and she kicked her legs. And he took a chainsaw and went and cut that box in half. He cut that woman in half. And you're like, it didn't really happen like that. Yes, it did. I was there. You weren't even there. I saw it with my own eyes. You are challenging his reality. He knows what he saw. And that magician cut that woman in half. And then to make it even more obvious to you, he tells you that the magician, after he cut the box in half, took the half with the legs sticking out and moved it over here to stage right, and the half with the head over here to stage left. And then he went over there and talked to the head of the woman, and she talked back to him. And then he brought the two halves back together, opened the box, and out popped the woman, full form, no blood. He cut her in half and he put it back together. And you're saying,
It was just an illusion. No, it wasn't. I saw it with my own eyes. I was there. You weren't even there.
What does this remind you of? This reminds you of personal experience that Christians often and Mormons talk about, right? Doug, you don't know what I experienced. This is my reality. God spoke to me in church. I felt the presence of God. You weren't there. You didn't experience this. This is my reality. It's real. And any pushback against that, and they're going to freak out. What just popped in my head was, and Craig, you're probably going to hear this, Craig Reed. And I did a video where I interviewed him, and he talked about these issues, his reality, this personal experience of the transcendent. And I pushed back way too hard with him, and I don't think he's recovered since. I mean, because he still makes videos about me, apparently. But how do you change that perception of reality when it's so real to them? And by the way, their perception and reality might indeed match. You got to be open to that possibility too, or plausibility, probability, whatever you want to say.
So you're attacking his reality. He's going to resist. He's going to fight you. All right. So what you do is you offer him a better perception. You say, hey, listen, I hear what you're saying, but could it be possible that just maybe out of those 50 women that raised their hands and he picked one, maybe she works for him? Maybe he planted her in the audience. She knows the trick. She travels to every show around the country with him. And when
this is exactly how I deal with Christians. I know you think that Jesus Christ rose from the dead, and you got these eyewitness accounts, and that who would die for a lie, and you got martyrs, and you got prophecies and all this. But for me, this is where, what Daryl's saying, I don't think works all the time. I say, well, maybe New Testament authors used the Old Testament as a template to create stories and narratives based on a real guy. And that we could have the New Testament exactly as we have it today and Jesus Christ not rise from the dead. Maybe that's what happened. But contrary to what Daryl Davis is saying here, that's not a better reality for them. Because that means their hope, meaning, and purpose that they get from that belief is now gone. You mean Jesus is not alive? You mean Jesus is not in my heart right now? And as Mark Wahlberg said, everything that's good in my life I attribute to my faith. Are you saying that's a lie? That's a tough pill to swallow.
There's a pair of mannequin legs laying on the floor of the box that are wearing the same stockings and same shoes that she has on. She picks them up, shoves them out the hole. When he says, move your feet, she just shakes those things. And then she brings her own legs up under her chest. So her whole body is on that half of the box. So the saw doesn't even touch her. And obviously, when he separates the two halves, the feet are over there. Now she can't move them. So he has to distract your attention by going over here. So you're not looking at those feet. And he's talking to the head, and she's talking back. Of course, when he brings them back together, she pulls the dummy legs, leaves them on the floor of the box. She climbs out. And then your brother says, I guess that would be the only way that would work. You've offered him a better perception. And that perception then becomes his reality. So don't attack somebody's reality, regardless of what it is, even if you know it to be false. Give them a better perception and allow them to resonate with it. Because it's always better when somebody comes to the conclusion, I've been wrong. Maybe this is something I need to think about. Yeah, this will work.
It's a perfect example of not silencing people's ideas, but giving them better ideas. And this is what the answer is.
Yes. And this is exactly what Nathan did on DigitalGnosis just an hour or two ago. You don't silence ideas. You offer maybe better ideas. And they can do the same. And then you figure out which idea matches reality. I just put up a poll with the question, do you think you could do what Daryl does or did? Meaning, do you think you could sit in a chair and listen to someone make the most horrible assumptions about you, call you the worst possible things imaginable, think that you're even inferior to them, and still listen to what they have to say? Do you think you have the ability to do that?
censorship has been.
Exactly.
And, so Daryl always talks about how much he listens when he starts a dialogue and doesn't even try to, push ideas at the people that he's engaging with, different extremists or whatnot. Would you agree with that statement?
Absolutely. Yeah. And let me just give you an example of that. Okay, so I'm interviewing a Klan leader, white supremacist, right? And I ask, how can you hate me? You don't even know me. All you see is this. You come in my room 5 minutes ago, and you've already determined, whatever you determine. Well, Mr. Davis, black people are prone to crime, and that is evidenced by the fact that there are more blacks in prison than white people. Now, I'm just sitting here listening to this guy. He's calling me a criminal, and but he's right. He's 100% right. The data and the statistics show that there are more blacks in prison than white people. So that feeds what he already thinks he knows, the data, right? But he does not go to find out why does that data show that. He doesn't realize there may be an imbalance in our judicial system that send black people to prison for longer periods of time than white people who've committed the same crime. All right, so I just listen to him, right? Because when he walks in that room and he sees me, I'm the enemy. His wall goes up. His ears are like...
See, now, if I... there's going to be people who are going to freak out when I say this. But I agree with what he said. But I would, as someone who might present another option, was, do you think it's possible that black people actually commit more crime than other demographics, other races? Not only that they're sentenced longer and so forth, but they actually do the crimes. See, these are really uncomfortable questions, right? And then you have to ask the question, now, why is that? And it's probably because of many factors.
This, he's ready to defend whatever his stance is. So I'm just listening. And then he goes on to say, black people are inherently lazy. They always have their hand out for a freebie. They're always trying to scam the government welfare programs and all that kind of stuff. So now he's called me a criminal. Now he's calling me lazy. And I'm just sitting here listening. I'm not pushing back. And then he says, and black people are born with smaller brains. And the larger the brain, the more capacity for intelligence. The smaller the brain, the lower the IQ. So now I'm being called stupid. Now, and he says that this is evidenced by the fact that every year the data shows that black high school students consistently score lower on the SATs than white kids do. Again, he's 100% correct. That does show that. Right? But he doesn't realize why. All right? Where do most black kids in this country go to school? In the inner city. Where do most white kids go to school? In the suburbs. It is a fact. Suburban schools are better funded. They have better facilities, better teachers.
Yeah, I want to say that, who said it here? Super odd says asking is it possible is kind of a useless question. Yeah, and the reason why I said possible is because he did, but I agree. What's a better way to phrase it? Because almost anything is possible in the magical kingdom, right? Is it more likely? Is that a better way to phrase it? Is it reasonable to think? Or is another option that this is the reason? I think that's better than asking, is it possible?
Etc. I will guarantee you, white kids who go to school in the inner city can score just as low as those black kids, if not some lower. Black kids who go to school in the suburbs can score just as high as the white kids, if not higher. It has absolutely nothing to do with the color of the student's skin or the size of the student's brain, but it has everything to do with the educational system in which that child is enrolled. But of course, he won't go to research that because the data already supports what he already believes, that I'm inferior. So now he's called me all these things.
Yeah, see, and he's describing every tribal type belief system, right? Christians will, when they're doubting their belief system, they'll go to their favorite apologist and they'll get confirmation of what they already believe. Most of them, a lot of them, let's say a lot. Trump supporters will go to Fox News and get what they believe. All the other religions, same thing. The woke people too. No, don't listen to PineCreek. He's a white male. I'm going to get my information from this black woman. Don't listen to that person, because they're a man. How can they speak of women's issues? Because they're not a woman. Right? You go searching to confirm what you already believe. Now, sometimes the search leads to, I think, you could be right.
I've already done my research on him. I know this guy sitting across from me just barely made it out of high school. I have a college degree. So do I throw that in his face? No. But because I sat there and listened to him.
That's so good of him. Because there's many times where I personally struggle with that, because I've been called an idiot, stupid, uneducated. And I know I'm way more educated than 99% of you out there. Now, the thing is on, what topics, what subjects, yeah, that's a different story. But in general, I think it's 99%, maybe it's 95%. But how many people do you know with 2 master's degrees? I only know James Fodor, Robert Price. No, there's probably a whole bunch, but it's who you hang around with, I guess.
That wall is coming down, because you cannot impart information to somebody when the wall is up. It's like hitting a brick wall.
Yep.
You want that wall to come down, and then the ears open up. So now he's exhausted all his vitriol, and now he's wondering, like, how come this black person isn't pushing up against me like most of them do? And he's curious as to what I think about what he just said. So now the wall is down, and he feels compelled to reciprocate, because I sat there and listened to him insult me. So now it's my turn. I could go on the offense and say, no, you are the one who's a criminal. You're the one hanging black men from trees and dragging them behind pickup trucks.
You're the one responsible for systematic racism. No. Like, yeah, he could have done that, but he doesn't. Why? Because this is the more effective method.
And bombing their churches. And I would be 100% correct, because the Klan has over a 100-year history of doing that. But if I did that, that wall would go right back up. So I don't want that to happen. I want to keep the wall down and let him hear what I'm saying. So I say, so rather than go on the offense, I go on the defense.
Josh, thanks for the donation. You asked, were you a Christian when I got my 2 master's degrees? Let me do the math. Definitely when I got I got 2 bachelor's degrees too. I got 2 bachelors and 2 masters, although 2 bachelors are very, very similar. I think I was just coming out of Christianity at the time. Yeah, it's close. I think I would still have called myself a Christian. So yeah, I got my 2 master's degrees as a Christian.
And I say, listen, I hear what you're saying. However, I don't have a criminal record, and I'm as black as anybody you've ever seen. So I don't have a criminal record. I've never been on welfare. As far as my brain size goes, I've never measured the size of my brain, but I'm sure it's the same size as anybody else's. And as far as my SAT scores go, they got me into college. Now, I already know that he doesn't have a college degree. I do. Does it make me a better person than him? No. But it gives me a better experience, right?
Like guys like Daryl Davis are very dangerous for certain ideologies out there. Like, how do you explain Daryl Davis? He seems like a very successful guy, has a degree. My guess is he pays more taxes than benefits he gets. He's tearing up all the typical stereotypes that a KKK member might have, right? But he did it, like, I'm going to speak on behalf of the woke movement in a very gentle and kind way. He did it in spite of what they would say is systematic racism. How can he do it and not others? This gets to the poll question I asked here. Like, is it even racist or not racist? What's the word? Bigoted to ask this question? Are some people just incapable of being like Daryl Davis? When all the odds is against you, still succeed?
So I let him know this. He goes home and he thinks, just like we all do at the end of the day, we reflect on what we did during the day. He thinks, man, I just had a 3-hour conversation with a black guy. You know, we didn't come to blows. And what that Daryl guy said, it makes sense. Oh, but he's black.
but what he said was true. Oh, but he's black. So they're having a...
What PineCreek says makes sense, but he's a conservative. What he said there is actually true, but he's a conservative. And you can do that with any tribe, right? It kind of blows people's mind when you can get them to resonate with something and they're outside of your tribe and you strongly disagree with them on other things.
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
Right? And they struggle with that for a while. And then they have that dilemma. I got to make up my mind, what am I going to do? So the dilemma is, do I disregard whatever color he is and believe the truth because I know it to be true and change my ideological direction? Or do I consider the color of his skin and continue living a lie?
Yeah, see, and you can apply this to politics too. Do I disregard that he's a Trump supporter? Or do I listen to what he says and just consider it a lie? I mean, you can apply this to any tribe.
In most cases, people will follow the truth. But then there will be those who don't want to give up the power or the notoriety or whatever, and they will follow the lie.
Well, the way you're doing it is brilliant because you're doing it so patiently and contrary to the way most people handle arguments. Most people handle arguments by trying to shut down the other person's argument and shit all over them instead of trying to, what you're saying, offer an alternative perspective, which is really probably the only way to get people to think about things in a different light.
And Joe, that comes from the fact that I've done a lot of travel. Okay? I've been exposed to people from all over the world, and we all got along. We all got along.
We told a story on the podcast the first time you hear about not even understanding racism until you were a child because you grew up overseas.
Right, exactly. And so I saw that. So I saw something that they have not seen.
Right.
And that's why I want to share that with them vicariously, to let them know. No, it's, every white person in the world is not like every white person in this country. Right. Every black person in the world is not like every black person in this country. There are white people over in France, like in the 1940s and 50s, a lot of black Americans moved to France to live. Some even gave up their U.S. citizenship because the French people were treating them as equals. They didn't see color, and those French people were a lot more white than the white people here in this country who might be mixing something else. So, people need to see. In fact, my favorite quote of all time is by Mark.
Hey, Teal X in the live stream comments is making a great point. Everyone is tribal, which is natural. Yes, you're right. We, because of evolution, we developed this idea of tribalism, or it just happened because it helps in our survival, right? But is this a reasonable goal that we should all share, that we should maybe look to other tribes, see if they're doing things better, and learn from it? Or do we just shun? Like every tribe can get better, right? So Democrats, can you look into the Republican Party and say, you know what? I wish the Democrats were more like that in this area. And vice versa. See, I think what determines tribes is not so much facts and evidence, but values. And what determines values, I'm not sure. Environment, the way you're raised. And I think we need to go outside of our tribes a little bit, and even not so much even go and look for good things in other tribes, but look within your own tribe and say, this is crap. My own tribe is crap here. And say it vocally and say it publicly. And not just, keep it quiet because you feel like you might be excommunicated.
Mark Twain, or otherwise known as Samuel Clemens. It's called the Travel Quote. And Mark Twain said, quote unquote, "Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime."
That guy was so good.
Wasn't he?
He had so many great quotes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so for the people from South Dakota, what he's saying here is, don't stay in your bubble. Look around at your friends. If they all think the same way as you, maybe you should try to get new friends. If you have the money, maybe travel the world. I know it's expensive and not easy, and you got to work and all that sort of thing. But I do think people who have lived in more than one country they would answer this poll question in the affirmative, that they can be like that, a Daryl Ray. For those of you who were born and raised in a small town in North Dakota, and you've only been outside the state boundaries a couple times, you probably answered no. It's hard for you to be like Daryl Ray.
Exactly.
Isolation. And so Sam Harris actually did a study that we talk about in the paper about, he did a neuroimaging study of people being exposed to political beliefs different from their own, and actually looked at people's brains when they were going through this experience. And they actually talked about this thing called the backfire effect, which is sort of what you're talking about when the wall's up. And so they sort of detected that, interestingly. And I forget the exact name of the study, but it's in the footnotes. So I think the patience is it. That it's long term. You're not changing someone's mind like in 5 minutes of, chattering in comment sections or, yelling at someone at the...
Actually, you can. That does happen. It's just rare. Like, people can change their mind in 5 minutes if the evidence is so overwhelming and so glaring. Like, if someone believes that there's a certain object in a trunk of a car, all you have to do is you can change your mind, open the trunk of the car, boom, they're done. Oh, I thought I had my spare tire in there, but it's not. Okay, my belief was wrong. But that's just so rare that it can happen that fast.
The dinner table, like that you barely know. Like, Daryl knows how to create long-term relationships and not be like thirsty for them to change their mind. Like, it's just by like, look, we're here, we're hanging out, whether it's a network or, offline or online network, doesn't really matter. And so I think the backfire effect that Sam found and that we're sort of talking about with walls going up is very real. And that's why it has to be long term.
But Daryl, I'm just thinking while I'm listening here, like these conversations that you've had with these white supremacists and neo-Nazis, how amazing would it be if that was a podcast?
It is.
What I'm saying, if you sat down with those people.
I get the impression Joe Rogan doesn't like the other guy. Joe Rogan just wants to talk to Daryl. Joe Rogan's a racist. He only likes to talk to black people. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to play. There's some great stuff. I mean, I'll put the link later today sometime of his TED Talk, but I'm quite sure if I put the TED Talk up here, then maybe even some countries around the world won't be able to watch it because it'll be striked, or not striked, but copyrighted or something, not visible in all places. So I guess I'll open up the room. I want to see the full results one more time. Whoa, look at this. And for the people who haven't voted, quickly vote and be honest. It's anonymous. Nobody will know who you are. Do you think you could do what Daryl does? Something akin to it, like being a African American going into a KK community and listening to their concerns, listening to what they have to say, being in friends with them. And now just picture that in different things. Do you think you could be a woke social justice warrior and spend an hour talking to someone who's the exact opposite, whatever that means? Could you do it? Quickly vote now. It's amazing to me this is cut right down the middle, 50-50. So I think what I want to do now is, for the people who said no, first of all, the people who said yes, congratulations. You each win a $10 gift card to Applebee's. No, I'm kidding. Can we afford that, Myron? Oh, Myron's at Disney World. I forgot. For the people who said no, maybe come on my channel now and call in and tell me why you think you can't do it. And maybe we can do some exercises together, because I'm going to start an exercise channel soon, and this will be part of it. Start exercises together to help you practice to do what Daryl Davis can do. We're changing the world, folks. Oh, makes you feel all warm and tingly inside. Not really. We're all going to die. volcano under Yellowstone Park is going to explode, and all this will be meaningless. This is the William Lake Craig coming out of me right now. All is meaningless. Let me put the link in the chat and pull. So it ended up 50-49. How's that possible? It was a binary choice, wasn't it? Okay. Just click on the pin link and hopefully it works. Can I call in to prove Islam? Sure. Sure. If Islam is true, I want to know it. That doesn't mean I'll follow it, but I'm not going to make the whole thing about Islam. But I'll listen to you for 5 minutes. Can you prove Islam in 5 minutes? Thing is, is this him? I've talked to you before, right? Mustafa?
Oh, we've spoken before, yeah.
Are you the person in the live stream chat that says, can I come in and prove Islam?
No, that's not me.
That's not you. Okay, that person is still welcome, but what did you want to say?
I just wanted to talk about two things really quickly. So I know you talk about quite a lot of stuff. So one of them being this issue of racism in general and people changing their minds about these issues. And also
hey, you have to close your tab.
Give me a second.
Because you're answering my questions twice.
Say, I was like, you're repeating yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just on the issue of people changing their minds in general, I've noticed that quite a lot, where a person can be glaringly obviously wrong about something, but human ego is a really big thing. So it's very hard for people to admit they're wrong in the moment. So that's why criticism is something I've really tried to not do, as opposed to maybe encouragement is much better than criticism. I've noticed with a lot of people, because you can't convince people if you're going to criticize them, because they'll just put a barrier up straight away.
Yeah, that's true. At least in a lot of cases, but it doesn't seem that's the case for Daryl Davis.
Yeah. I remember seeing this video a while ago, and I thought that was a very brave thing that he did, but also really very unorthodox way of doing it as well, but very effective.
Yeah, well, see, and if I were to start a new religion, it would be the religion of Daryl Davis.
Yeah,
like I think he's better than Jesus, because he can. Well, no, according to the story,
Jesus turned water into wine, so different.
Yeah, but even Jesus kind of smacked back and pushed back on the Pharisees, right?
Yeah.
Daryl Davis is like, he's trying to build relationship and trying to give people other replacement ideas that hopefully reflect reality. But yeah, let's start a religion of Daryl Davis where people like Matt Dillahunty, they can hear certain things and they don't have this knee-jerk reaction and just, I have to leave the conversation now.
Yeah, no, I don't think that. There's a guy in, obviously I've come on before, right, and I'm a Muslim, and there's a guy who's, there's a gay guy in my uni, and me and him hold very polar opposite views. Sometimes we'll get into discussions, but we never run away from each other, but we still come out friends. So I don't like it when, like, especially the left try to cancel people from holding views, because if you're not going to be able to talk about controversial things, or they shouldn't even be controversial, that's a bit of a hot potato word, but if you can't talk about things that are going to offend people, then you're not going to really do anything. Yeah. I wanted to ask you.
One quick question, and then I got two other people want to come in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I was going to ask you about free will really quickly, because you always talk about free will. You love to talk about free will. So, because the academic problem of free will, right? I think sometimes you mischaracterize it. It's to do with the fact that the future exists in some sense, because it doesn't come out of nothing, because from nothing nothing comes, right? So in that case, there's no free will, whether God exists or not. But I think for atheists, the problem's bigger because there's also the issue of everything being matter and energy. So there's no agency behind the universe. So metaphysically, if you think about it, one of these worldviews has to be true. Either God exists or he doesn't, just by the law of the excluded middle. So I think the worldview with more problems is less likely to be true if you believe you have free will.
What problem do I have?
So you have the problem of the future existing. It's the same problem. I don't actually think there's a problem, but if I phrase it in the academic way, that is the issue of free will. It's the fact that the future already exists for both worldviews, by the way, whether if God exists or not. I just think you guys have another layer of another.
Well, no, that's not true. Like, I don't believe that.
You don't believe in free will?
No. But what you said about the future already exists, I don't believe that either.
No, I'm saying it has to. That's the problem. That's why they say there's no free will, because
no, there's another path to go. Like, there's something, you have another option. It's called randomness, right?
But what is randomness?
It's no reason for something. No what's the word?
So magic.
Not magic. It's like in quantum, like the spin of an electron.
Quantum's not random.
The spin of the electron is.
No, it's just we don't know the causal nature behind it.
It's a distribution.
Because we can use quantum coding and stuff, and we can make passwords out of it. So if it was random,
that's why we make passwords out of it, because it's random.
No, true. No, we don't know how to guess it, right? But also, you wouldn't be able to.
I got to be more like Daryl Davis here. Sorry, I'm listening.
Yeah, okay. No criticism. Sorry. You can't really. We won't be able to use quantum mechanics, if anything, if it was truly random, because it would do something arbitrary every single time. So the fact that we have some predictive power over it means that it isn't truly random. We just don't understand the laws behind it fully. There's nothing random by definition. It doesn't make sense.
Would you be okay with me saying that about abiogenesis?
About it being random?
No. You said we just don't understand it fully.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. I make an inference to the best explanation. So
okay.
If I think so, I just use like a scientific principle. Like, I will make an inference to the best explanation. And if more evidence comes along, then I'll believe I came from a bowl of soup.
Okay, fair enough. I would invite you to my poker game, but I know you're Muslim, so that's out.
If there's no money involved, then I'll do it. But
well, you can just pretend there's no money involved, and really there is. No.
Okay, fine, perfect.
Have a good day, and go blow your nose.
I will do. Sorry, I've got allergies.
Yeah, take care.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to keep reminding myself not to invite Muslims to poker. Which one? I think this guy wanted to prove Islam to me. Are you the guy who wanted to prove Islam to me? You're on. He's catching up to the live stream.
Really, there is.
Okay, we're waiting for you. Turn off that YouTube tab. He doesn't know he's on, but I think, yeah, you got to turn off your tab. Yeah, for all future guests, before you, as soon as you got to keep your eye on whereby. As soon as you see my face, turn off your YouTube tab. Are you the guy who wants to talk about Islam and prove it to me?
I'm a Muslim, yes. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Do you think you could be like Daryl Davis?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I came in a little bit late on Daryl Davis. Was his thing that he was more of a critical thinker, that he was reaching out to members of the KKK? If that's my understanding.
Yeah, he's an African American who's
as a Muslim. I think it enables me to do that. Actually, I think.
Okay, so I could say the worst things about Islam right now to your face, and you'd be okay.
Sure. Why does it affect me? I don't understand. Why would it affect me?
I respect that. Like, I just like some Muslims and some Christians that I've talked to, they'll say you shouldn't say certain things because it's blasphemy.
If you're not Muslim, and you don't believe in that, I don't understand why you would think it's blasphemy. I mean, haters gonna hate, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you want to talk about?
Certainly. Well, I'm here to talk about Islam. I've sometimes listened in on you. I understand you're an atheist. Sometimes I see a bit of anger towards religion, but I'm happy to have a rational conversation. Obviously, I'm Muslim, not because of some supernatural event, although the Quran is a miraculous thing. I believe anyone who experiences it would understand that this is from a creator. I believe that Muslims are the original skeptics, Doug, right? We believe that there is no God. We are, except the one worthy of worship, Allah, who is neither male nor female, who is unlike anything that he created, right? So I think, I think this is the more rational and the more skeptic approach is Islam.
Okay. So how do you ever become skeptical of Islam itself? And how do you do that?
We Muslims are encouraged to ask questions all the time. We ask questions about the existence of God. We ask questions about proofs. Maybe, someone said something to us. We comment, and I've never once come across, something that's really confused me. And I'll be honest with you, there is an element of humility that I have as well. If there is something that I don't fully understand, I can suspend it. I make a decision about whether or not this actually changes my worldview, whether or not it's worthwhile. Because I'll be honest with you, Doug, if Islam wasn't true, why would I be Muslim? It doesn't make sense, right?
Well, were you born and raised in it?
I'm sorry?
Were you born and raised in it?
My parents are Muslim, but I was born in the Western world. I was born in the UK. I grew up not too far.
Are you married?
Yes.
Is your wife Muslim?
Yes, and I wouldn't have married her if she wasn't.
Yeah, but so you just made the comment that why would I believe in Islam if it wasn't true? Well, there's a lot of things keeping you in Islam, right?
But there's a lot of things calling me out. I mean, if I went out and declared myself an ex-Muslim, I would be on the media. People would, people like you would love me and bring you on the show, kind of thing. I think that there's every reason to leave Islam. Look at how much it's hated on the media. Look how much there's Islamophobia, even here in Canada. I mean, there's a lot of incentive to not be Muslim, right? Islam forbids me from a lot of what people may call pleasures, like alcohol, sex with whoever I want, and things like that. There is sacrifice, but I ultimately believe it's worth it.
Okay. So what's the main reason why you believe Islam is true? Just give me one for now.
Well, the Quran is the most, I think, if I had to just pick one, I mean, God is manifest. I mean, I studied medicine. I know the human body. There's no way that this could come by without some design. Design, of course, I define as...
Could there be a designer and Islam false?
I'm sorry?
Could there be a creator God who's the designer of everything, and yet Islam, based on Muhammad and the Quran, be false?
So the mark of an intelligent mind is to entertain a thought without necessarily accepting it.
Right.
Could there be some reality where Islam isn't true and Christianity is true, or Hinduism is true? I can entertain a fictional world where that could be, but I know the world that I'm in right now isn't.
But it's important. It's important. Like if you value truth, and I think you do, and I do, to at least acknowledge that my specific religion could be false, and yet this designer argument could be true. Like it could be a good argument that a creator God exists, made everything, explains why we're here, and yet at the same time, the core tenets of Islam is bunk.
So is this a question of risk analysis? We're all going to confront death. I think we can agree on that. And the question comes to what we will encounter after that. And so you want to take a risk.
Oh, well, I like this.
Right?
You went straight to the why you should believe it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We're all going to die. There is a reality. If there is a God out there who demands you to wear blue on Tuesdays, you're going to wear blue on Tuesdays. But the question here is whether or not that God exists. Whether or not, what is that reality that we will all encounter once we die? And, this is an element of Pascal's wager, although I don't believe in that. Because what I do believe is that there is an afterlife, there's a heaven, there's a hell. And the reason I believe that is in the Quran is because of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The evidence they brought to me and said, hey, this is the messenger of God, this is his book. Okay, well, let's open the book and let's have a look at it. This clearly comes from the creator, because I know there is a creator.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me rephrase what you just said.
Sure.
You acknowledge that it could be possible that there's a creator God, but Islam's false. That is possible, right?
I don't have any evidence to suggest that, but in a fictional world, that could be, yeah, sure. Somebody could write that.
No, even in a true world.
Do you mean, is it plausible?
No, sure, no. I use the word possible on purpose here. So let's say it's 1 in a billion chance, but there's still a chance, right? You've seen Ace Ventura when Jim Carrey's characters.
That's not how I look at it. If I believe in something, then I believe in it.
Basically, what I'm asking you is it possible you're wrong?
Is it possible
about Islam? Yeah.
But you see, it's kind of like if I said that, then I wouldn't believe in what I believe.
No,
right?
no. Watch me. I'm going to try it. Okay, I'm going to model the behavior I want. I desire from you.
Sure.
I do not believe Islam is true, but it is possible that it is. Okay, I just said that. I do not believe Islam is true, but it's possible that it is. And I think from your point of view, you should be happy that I said that, because that means there's a chance I might become a Muslim. Now
I don't get anything out of you becoming a Muslim. I mean, I get like nothing.
Well, it's the truth. You want me to believe the true things, right?
I mean, like I with all due respect, I don't care, right?
Well, then why are you talking to me on this channel? No.
Hey,
what should I call you?
You can call me Idrisi.
Idrisi. If you don't care, why did you call in?
Well, I do. I'm honestly, I think you're a very interesting person to talk to. I thought, I look, I do believe in dawah. I do believe in evangelism. I do believe Islam should propagate in many ways, and I believe we should share that truth. In fact, I'm commanded to share that truth, right? So that's why I'm here, to speak the truth. Whether or not you accept it isn't up to me, right? It isn't up to. I mean, one could argue, is it really up to you? But I believe that God guides whoever He wants to guide.
Okay. Great. So, but you heard what I said, that I do not believe and think. In fact, I would almost use the word no. I know Islam is false, but I still could be wrong. It is still possible that Islam is true, and I'm wrong. Now, I'm asking you, can you say the same thing just reversed? Can you say?
No, I can't. It's just a matter of semantics. The only thing I can say, it's plausible, but not possible. That's really where I.
Do you know what plausible means? And possible?
Plausible means I can conceive of it. Like, okay, Islam isn't true. Another religion is true. Okay, we said it in words. It's not like I suppose I don't know if they mean the same thing. Sure. But like I said, my belief dictates that there is no other possibility that it could be wrong, right?
Would you say it's possible that there's green Chevy on the dark side of the moon?
Is it sure? Is it possible? I mean, okay, I see where you're going with this.
So is it possible that Islam is false and yet a God still exists?
I mean, if that was the case, the evidence has yet to present itself. I don't know. I just feel like this isn't getting you anywhere, Doug, towards the truth.
Well, I'm just asking. I just find it very curious that you can't even say it.
I said plausible. You said plausible is the same as possible. Okay, is it possible that Islam isn't true? Again, the evidence hasn't suggested itself. I'm a believer in the fact that Islam is true and it couldn't be true. If this is kind of like sure, okay, I'll buy it. I don't think there's anything, sure. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe we'll die and nothing happens out of that. But then again, I don't see any evidence for that, unless you can share that with me.
Well,
by all means. I mean, I've always wanted to see what bacon tastes like. So
okay, I think we're the same now. I mean, you're saying the same thing I said. I don't see the evidence sufficient enough to believe Islam is true, but it could be true. And what I'm hearing you say, you're not seeing the evidence that Islam's false, but it could be false, right? Are we on the same page?
If there was evidence that it was false, and there was, sure, it would be false. I mean, just prove it first.
Okay. If I were to say that there's a green Chevy on the dark side of the moon, do you believe it until proven false?
No, because I couldn't. Because no, I couldn't.
Okay. Yeah, we're agreed. You don't say I'm going to believe whatever Doug says until someone proves it false. So, yeah, sure, there's a green Chevy on the dark side of the moon. Now let's just take this to Islam.
Okay.
Do you think I need to prove that a creator God sent an angel, Gabriel, to a man named Muhammad in a cave over 1,000 years ago and spoke the very words to him to create the Quran? Do you think I need to prove that false, or do you think you need to prove that true?
So you're asking about the burden of proof.
Yeah.
I think for you and me in this situation, I would have to show you the evidence for why.
Okay.
Right? Because it's an extraordinary claim to say that an angel from the high came and gave me this Quran that you hear now. That's an extraordinary claim. It better be back.
Okay, we're agreed. So let's I want to bring other guests in, but so let's give me your best reason. I know to you there's probably a lot of good reasons, but what you personally think is the best reason to believe that Islam's true, that the core propositions of the angel and the Muhammad and everything is true.
Yeah, because we have to look at the content. There's no way that any human could come up with the Quran. That's fact. It really is a supernatural thing. I'm fluent in English. I can speak a little bit of Arabic as well. Even I know that this is something that no human can create. So the Quran, what the Prophet was revealed when he was essentially a normal person who was trustworthy and known, and at the age of 40 received this revelation and then came up with something extraordinary, right? And things that, even couldn't have been known to him at that time, right? Things like the expansion of the universe, things like the shape of the earth and all these kinds of things. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay, I got it. I got it. So basically, some people phrase that as the miracle of the Quran, right? Like to summarize,
Sure.
Yeah. So what have you heard in your life arguments against that?
That the Quran is, honestly,
like, I'm not saying what you, I'm not asking you what you believe, but from people like me and others, what have you heard in your own life arguments against that position?
Honestly, I've gone into, I went to college, university here. I've gone to debates with a lot of atheists about this. Most of them is like, your book is violent. Your book is, has things like maybe about women. They might misinterpret whatever. They don't really debate the truth value of it. And when I say, okay, why don't you read it? Like, I don't want to bother reading that. Why should I read that?
Like, for example, let me be more specific. You made, like, part of the reason why you said it's a miracle because it talks about things that they didn't know at the time. What have you heard from people who are not Muslim who disagree with you on that aspect? What would they say?
Sure. Some would say that some of that knowledge was known before the Prophet and that he had access to that knowledge somehow.
Very good.
And,
yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably what you're getting at. But it's plausible for 1, 2, 3, 4, but not like dozens, if not hundreds. I really don't know the full extent of it, but like so many examples. You couldn't get.
Well, wait a minute. Well, you just said it's plausible for some, but not all of them.
If for example, the Prophet only made the claim of the shape of the earth, or that the fact that the universe was expanding, one could argue, well, he could, but like, you have to understand, not all knowledge was known, and there is knowledge that the Prophet talks about, and he as revelation that wasn't known beforehand, that we could only know with modern day technology, with microscopes, ultrasound, MRIs, and whatnot.
Okay, let's say you're right. Let's say you're right that maybe 5% could have been known at the time, but 95% couldn't. And let's say there's, I don't know how many.
And that's not the only thing. It's not the scientific miracles. There's a linguistic thing.
Oh, I know, but I want to keep it really specific because I don't want to talk for hours about this. Let's say I was to grant you, or a skeptic, a non-Muslim, were to grant you that, yeah, maybe some things weren't known at the time, like legitimately, and the Quran still talks about it. What would be another possible explanation other than God told him, a man?
Are you saying are you saying that perhaps the Prophet was a genius, like had an IQ of 1 million or so, whatever people talking about IQ, and somehow was have you read the Quran, Doug? Have you?
Look what's keeping up my mic stand right here.
Okay, reading that translation, that's not a good one. Read the clear Quran that's on there. It's Quran.com. It's like the default one. I have that one. I really do.
But I want to, before we go into whether I've read parts of the Quran, but can you first answer my question? What would be another explanation other than that people did know of it at the time, and the Quran still got things right that nobody knew at the time?
Okay, so other than the Prophet just figured it out, other than he was told by someone, other than, it was lucky guesses, many of them.
No, there's an answer right there. A lucky guess could explain it, right?
So you're telling me there's 6,236 lucky guesses in the Quran?
Well, if
really,
I don't know the exact number, and
that's the problem with atheism, Doug. If I may, it's this idea that you throw in my laundry in the dryer, and if I run it an infinite amount of times,
Adrisi, I can grant you that. Yeah, that's really weird if it's 236, whatever number you said.
I just counted.
But would you grant it? Would you grant it for one? No, so let's say I had
all revelation is all from God, all of it.
Let's say I lived in the time of Muhammad, and at that time people knew nothing about quantum mechanics, and I just had an idea. You know what? I think there's an atom. We're all made up of atoms, and there's actually these electrons that kind of go around the atom in a fuzzy manner. Like, you can't really pinpoint it. The guy is just like hypothesizing, he's guessing, he's dreaming, whatever, and he happens to be right. Doesn't that happen sometimes in history?
So I think you really mischaracterize. What you're really doing is you're mischaracterizing the whole thing. Here's a claim that he says, I'm a prophet of God. You have to worship God. There's only one God. He's neither male nor female. He's unlike anything. He created you and he demands of you worship. And that you will die and be held accountable to everything that you did and said based on the intentions that he knows, right? And that's the claim. Now people say, oh, that's ridiculous. Well, I have more claims. Well, here's the Quran, the linguistic miracle that defeated all Arabic at the time. It's so beautiful that even a non-Arab could appreciate it. And I would like to recite some Quran on your channel. If I could,
no,
to prove that.
No.
I know you're afraid of it. It's okay.
So I'm not afraid of it.
There's a scientific miracle. There's mathematical miracles. Like crazy things that I don't understand the work of the Quran. If no human, no group of humans could have come up with it.
What would you say to a person who said that they believe that the works of Shakespeare was actually written by God?
Well, I would,
because they're so amazing.
Believe because he had to make up words, he had to use contractions, he had to fit it. But the Quran never makes. There's not a single extra sound.
No, we're talking about Shakespeare right now. What would you say?
Shakespeare couldn't have been God because there's contradictions. There's fiction.
No, I'm not saying he was. What would you say to a person who says to you,
yes,
that they heard from God,
okay,
and that's how Shakespeare was written? They just took what they heard from God and wrote it down.
Easy. What's your evidence? Where's the proof of that? I just need evidence.
And they say, well, there's
evidence.
Okay. And here's what they would say, and you tell me how you would respond to them. They say, well, there's just no way Shakespeare could have been written if it wasn't from God.
There's just no way Shakespeare could have been written from God. I see, that's not enough evidence, right?
You just did it.
Well, no, I said specific things. I said, like, well, how could a human being know any reality about the outside the earth, for example? That's
okay. I understand there's other issues, but on that one issue,
that was that's proven by Moore, like who wrote the textbook on it that we read today. Like, how could you have known that? Those are specific claims. I'm not just saying it couldn't have been. I'm saying what you're saying is it plausible? Is it plausible? Is it plausible? Not all of it together, right? If I take one verse from the Quran, none of it could have been, because it really is that perfect. And I really do believe that you haven't given the Quran a fair chance. I think that you look at it from a lens as if it was like Christianity. The truth is, all religions are false except Islam, right? They're not based in any truth or reality except Islam. It's not like religion versus non-religion. Atheism is a religion just as much as Hinduism is, or anything else.
30 more seconds and I need you to wrap up. Or
well,
you're done.
I would like to recite the Quran because I think that if people could just go on YouTube, search Quran, listen to it, even if you're not an Arab, and you'll know, and it will have an effect. I do believe that Doug plays.
What? Oh, hang on. This is good. What effect do you predict?
I'm sorry?
What effect do you predict?
I believe that you will rationally believe that this isn't from the words of a human.
Okay, let's do it. I love tests.
All right. Can I use a Hall effect, or I can just recite like this? That's fine.
You can do whatever you want, but just try to keep it under a minute. Can you do it in a minute?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll recite. Quick. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا.
Okay, yeah, that was good, but I'll be very honest with you. I'd rather listen to Celine Dion.
Really?
Yeah. Was that the response you were expecting?
Yes. From you, yeah.
Okay.
100%. Because I've gotten that response before, but it wasn't for you, it was for your viewers, because I know there will be someone out there who'll be like, huh, and they'll look into it a little more. And that's why we're the fastest, and in fact, the largest group in the world, the largest religious group in the world is Sunni Islam. We became 1 billion in the year 2000. And it's manifest, Doug. Look.
Okay.
Islam, we don't have to believe. We don't have to agree.
I know.
I genuinely want what's good
Islam
for
is great. Islam is beautiful. I get it.
It really is. And I think you're a little bit you're thrown off, just like Jordan Peterson.
What?
You are.
No, I'm just trying to get you out of here because I got to go.
That's okay. I'll leave. But thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Take care. Okay?
Yeah. All the best to you. I have no hard feelings towards you. Take care.
None towards you either. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. See ya. I just had to listen to some real music for a second. Oh, who do we got here? I know you. Hey, Nathan and Mountain Show, hang on a second. This person I don't know, so I want to talk to this person. I'll try to keep it short. You guys won't have to wait too long. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay, what's your name?
It's Oflamo again.
Flamio again.
Yes.
We talked when?
We talked like a couple weeks ago. I think it's Thursday, 2 weeks ago, because you didn't have one last week. You can turn my camera on if you want.
Okay. Well, what do you want to say?
So I'll be on topic. I'm a black guy. I actually did what Daryl did before. I was just care about politics, and of course, politics. You have a lot of people who say stupid stuff, but I was able to just come down to a level and get them to say a little bit less stupid stuff. Today's patient.
Yes. Okay. So the goal is just to have less stupid stuff said. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then if less stupid stuff said, less stupid stuff is thought, and we can be a little bit smarter.
Baby steps. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of that movie with what's his name? But yeah, baby steps. Anything else you want to say?
I was on Talk Ethan last Sunday. I think I did well. J Mike hung up on me in 5 minutes, which means that I wasn't a lol cow. I wasn't making the rating. So
who hung up on you?
J Mike. So I was on Talk Ethan last Sunday.
Talk Heathen.
Yeah. I called in about idealism, and I just pretty much we both had presuppositions, but my opinion, there's less contradictions in idealism than materialism. And
okay, you like that stuff, those conversations.
Yeah.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah,
I'm not a big philosophy guy. I like.
I'm not either. I interpret as physics. I don't like metaphysics at all.
I like to work with my hands. Like
mm-hmm.
get them dirty, shovel manure. That's the type of guy I am. I like to go bowling.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, me too.
Okay, take care. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, talk to you on Thursday if you have it this week.
Okay, I probably will. See ya.
See ya.
Hey, Nathan.
Oh, sorry, I was on the other tab. I got confused. I was just listening to you talk about the guy about how you didn't like philosophy. So.
Yeah. Hey, great job with Bob Price today. You did really, really well.
Yeah, thanks. I spent actually the first time that I've really looked into the all the stuff that happened around the January the 6th riots as well today, and that's all really, really weird. So there was like tons more that I wanted to talk to him about, but then I thought it was getting into like backfire territory.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought you did the almost the perfect combination of listening, understanding, and pushing back a little bit. And actually, you really didn't push back. You let the evidence push back for you, right? And so, yeah. And I remember seeing in Bob's eyes, like when you played the rioters clip at the Capitol, that it did look familiar to him with the things that he's saying you should be shot on the spot.
Yeah.
And but yet you did it in a way that I don't think Bob has any bad thoughts about you. I think he would come on your show again, and this is, I think, exactly, we got to be like Daryl Davis here. That's how you do it, and you did great.
Yeah, thanks. Like, I did feel bad because, I want him to be able to share his expertise as a Bible scholar and not have everyone sort of thinking he's a nut because of some of his political views.
Yeah.
So I'm not that optimistic that his mind's going to change that much, but I don't know. I hope at least some people can kind of watch that and be like, you know what? Like, it's kind of kooky what he believes, but I don't need to hate this guy, and I don't need to behave.
What's the word to describe someone who's just so adamant towards his own tribe, his own politics? Is there a word for that? Because what I want to say is that,
I mean, like, set in his ways of his own politics.
Yeah, with his own politics. Because what I want to say is that I still truly don't believe Bob Price is racist. I think he has these ideals. So in other words, but I don't know what word to use. It's like if every single person who was writing for BLM was white or whatever, he'd still say, shoot them dead. And if every person who was at the Capitol that day was black, African American, he would still say they're patriots. So it's not a black or white thing. It is for him.
It's to do with the Trump and not Trump politics.
Yeah. But what word do you use for that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I can think of a few sort of turns of phrase, like can't see the wood for the trees sort of thing, whatever. But I don't think that. I don't
like
know
bigot applies, but it's not specific enough to what I want. But anyhow. Anything else you wanted to say?
I was going to try and convert you to my religion, Doug.
I've already converted to the Daryl Davis religion today.
Well, I've got something new that I think might work for you.
Do you have a text that is could only be written by God or something?
That's right, and I'd like to share it with you.
Okay. Well, how long is this going to take?
Not very long. It's just come to me.
I saw that big smile. I see it coming.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of. I mean, like he had a nice voice. If he's still listening.
No, it was a really nice voice, but I mean, to think that someone's going to accept Islam or believe that any of this is true, who's not already a Muslim, based on hearing a few bars.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem with that is the like. You know it when you know it sort of thing. Like, do you know it when you know it? Is that really a good sort of epistemology for figuring out what's true about these sort of claims? What if when he sung that, I just thought Mormonism is true in a self-authenticating way? It just occurred to me, like, is he going to accept that? No.
I'd rather listen to Celine Dion. That was funny.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's all I had to say anyway. So
okay, take care.
Let's
bye. Talk to Mountain Show here.
Do you know it when you know it?
We have to have a PineCreek fitness show and a PineCreek karaoke show. There you go. Hey, Mountain Show.
Hey, salam alaikum, Doug.
What does that mean exactly? Peace?
Yeah, it's the common Muslim greeting. It's the peace be upon, peace be with you, I guess.
Peace be with you. Well, science
peace
be with you.
I had to convert after that, guy. So, hey, real quick, I actually wanted to talk about something I've been wanting to tell you for a while. This was actually after the Trent Horn debate.
Okay.
There's a small blind spot, possibly a landmine that you could blow up on you based on what you keep saying over and over. And that's that, hey, we don't have anyone.
Hey, Mount Show, you're breaking up.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. It's that you keep saying we don't have anyone saying I blah 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 witnessed this in the New Testament. I, John, witnessed this in the New Testament. Now, here's the thing. If that was the case, like in the beginning of Mark or Matthew, it said, hey, my name is Matthew. I work for H&R Block and I did this, blah, blah, blah. And then the rest of the story was the same. I'll be dead honest with you. It's not going to move my needle.
Well, I admit this. And people have asked me this before, and I'll admit this. But I'm just pushing back on a claim which is sort of anti-Daryl Davis. But I'm just pushing back the claim that we have eyewitness accounts. That's all.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get the Christian to admit that.
Right, but I mean, like, if the rest of the story, like, I think in the beginning of Paul, doesn't he say, "Hey, my name is Paul, and I wouldn't make this stuff up," or whatever?
Yeah, he's the one exception. He's the one exception. But unless you're a Christian who believes that Jesus actually came back in bodily form to earth after he ascended to heaven to see Paul, like, and some Christians do believe that, but he's your only exception. And someone just commented on one of my channels today, actually, and said, or last night, that said, well, no, it's in 2 Peter, where it says, "I, Peter, a servant of God, of Jesus Christ," and then it goes on. But nowhere does it say he saw the bodily resurrection of Jesus. So you have none of that.
Correct. But from a Christian perspective, I know what they would think. They would like, well, even if it said, like, you know, "Hey, my name is Peter, and I witnessed all this in the year 36 or whatever," that wouldn't make any difference to us. You know what I mean?
Well, but let's be fair. Let's think about this. Let's say we're talking about today, and think about a Muslim you know, a Jew you know, a Christian you know, an atheist you know, even maybe a Hindu you know. Hopefully we all know people like this, although I don't. Well, anyhow. And all 5 of them tell you that they happened to be at a bar and saw some, in quotes, miracle. And you know all these different biases and cultures and stuff, so forth, and they're all your friends. And would you believe them? Like the water soap napkin, for example.
What?
Where the bartender started levitating and floating around the room. You're stuttering.
No, I would not believe them. Sorry, no, I'm just not. It depends. It's not because okay. I would believe what they saw. They said that they saw there was a levitation, but then I would do what Daryl Davis did, is like, oh, the mannequin legs, the thing, the something else. But that's where the limit is.
What if there happened to be 3 different camera crews there from 3 different countries, and they happened to catch it on film and had audio? So now you have 5 different independent, different biases accounts, 3 different audio video things, and we have the technology to see if it's fake or not. Would you believe it now?
That the bartender levitated? Sure.
Yeah.
90, no, I wouldn't say 100%, but 93% maybe.
Yeah. And so I do think that we have to be honest with the Christian and say, if we had truly independent accounts of different biases that, as J. Warner Wallace says, were separated and we got their stories, and you combine that with the audio and video evidence, we have to say, there's good evidence to believe this actually happened in history. But the problem is with Christianity, none of that's even, don't even have close to that.
Exactly. But okay, I see what you're saying, but I was just worried that, like, because it wouldn't move my needle. That's what I'm saying. Just by having that little phrase, like, "Hey, I am Luke and blah blah," I witnessed this. It's not going to move me. That's just,
it wouldn't move me either. Yeah.
Right. Because the rest of the story is where I have a problem with it. Not to mention the contradictions within the Gospels. Everything is written as like a, if you notice, like, Matthew is writing something in response to something that Mark didn't or did say. Like, why did they put the birth narrative in? Oh, it's because Mark didn't say it, and people were thinking about it. What is it?
But we all know this already, right? So
right.
we don't need to rehash it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, thanks for coming in.
All right, adios, man.
Take care. Yeah, I'm just looking. My XSplit ruins my microphone. I'm constantly having to shove the needle back to the right. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about the volume of the. That's so weird. Why is XSplit interfering with Windows 10's? There has to be a function in XSplit. Oh, you guys don't care about this. I'll talk to Myron later. Okay, last chance for a caller. Can you be more like Daryl Davis? It was 50-50. Half of you said no. I would love to hear from someone who would say, I can appreciate what Daryl Davis is doing, but I could never do it. I would love to talk to that type of person. Why bring up J. Warner Wallace when he reaches so stupid conclusions? Because I agree with J. Warner Wallace on some things, Dave Robertson. I agree if you want independent eyewitness accounts of a certain event, you separate them so they don't talk to each other, which is the exact opposite, I think, of what you see in the New Testament. As Dale Allison said, Luke knew Paul, and Paul knew Peter, and Peter knew Mark, and Mark knew Matthew, and John knew Matthew, and Matthew knew John. It's an incestuous relationship. What do we got here? Better be careful. Hello? Hey, you look just like me. Oh no, that is me. Keith, what's up?
I think I voted no on your question.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, thank you for coming on. So, why do you think you could not do what Daryl Davis does?
Honestly, because I don't know that I care enough about anything social, political, emotional to just submit myself to that.
Okay. There's nothing you care about in this world?
I mean, there are people that I care about in this world. And I think that I could
this is good. This is good.
That I disagree with. But
imagine
personally, I don't think there's anything that I would care enough about, like personally, that it would just be worth getting insulted all over the place.
Okay, but imagine you said there's people you care about. Think about the person that, or a person you care for the most on this planet. And let's, is this person male or female?
Female.
Female. Okay, I'm going to call this person Karen. Okay? So I want you to really imagine I'm talking about the person you really, really, really love. Karen's stupid. She is a gossiper, backstabbing, no good. I think she's even a thief. Is there any rise coming out of you? Or is this just too hypothetical that it's not real?
Honestly, it sounds a little too hypothetical.
Yeah.
It's not getting much out of me.
Okay, but let's say you're sitting next to this woman who you really care about. Is it your wife?
Yes.
Okay. And let's say I was right. Well, maybe take it off me because you kind of know me. I don't know you, but and the person just really comes down, doesn't touch you, doesn't even get close to you and you and your wife, but just starts hurling insults at your wife. Do you think you'd be the type of person to stand up and slap them like Will Smith did? Or do you think you could just say, I don't know this guy, he's an idiot. Let's get out of here.
The second.
See, that's interesting to me. That means you probably could be like Daryl Davis.
Well, that's actually, I think what I was trying to say is Daryl Davis is doing a specific thing that is different than any situation I've been in. And I don't think that I would put myself in that situation knowing that that was coming, nor would I stay in that situation, I don't know, just to try to make a friend with someone who I disagree with. That's why I voted no.
I see.
It's not that I don't think that I can have a conversation with someone who disagrees with me. It's more so once you get past a certain level, I'm probably just going to bug out.
So you are a little bit like me and dead inside, but you'd voted no because you wouldn't even got yourself in that situation in the first place.
Probably.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, Keith. Well, thanks for calling in. If you play poker, you're welcome. Now that we've talked.
I do not, but thank you.
You got money?
I'm just going to say no to make this easier.
Okay. You're a Muslim then. See ya. Oh, now I offended him. Okay, let's let Converse in. This is Rush Limbaugh. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up, PineCreek?
Having a good time.
Listen, I want to tell you the word you're looking for, I think, is insular.
Insular.
Yeah. Look it up.
You sure? Is it a noun? Is it a noun? No, it's an adjective. I'm looking for a noun.
Okay. Hey, look, man, I do this all the time, right? Half the people, well, I shouldn't say that. I should say a lot of people I talk to on a daily basis, like on Discord or on Clubhouse or something like that, right? Well, a lot of these people have crazy beliefs. Like I talk to Black Hebrew Israelites, so-called, all the time, and like they literally think I'm the devil, and that I'm some type of primitive, not even fully human, all this stuff, right? But when I start talking to them and I do an internal worldview critique, and they go, look, Jacob is the Most High's inherited, all the nations are nobody, and then I point to Psalm 82 where it says God will inherit the nations, and I go, well, what does that mean? And then they go, well, that is different, but I mean, it's something I'm gonna look into it, right? But then, so I get what you're saying. Like, even though they might think I'm the devil, there still might be that little, piece of them that says, oh, well, how would I make sense of this on my view, So,
Yeah. Do you think you've made any headway with them?
Yeah, I know a couple of them that actually used to describe themselves. I actually used to hang out with a group of Black nationalists every day. That's why I kind of sympathize with them, and I used to kind of believe some of this. But yeah, I know I changed a few of their minds, guys that I know personally, and then a few people I know online. They have shifted from one camp that was like anti-white, white people can't be saved, to another camp that's kind of like a GOCC where, okay, white people can be saved, but they're still not going to be as good as the Hebrew Israelites or whatever. Right. So
Well, that's good.
You can see some shifting.
At least there's hope for us. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I got a couple
All
other
right.
callers. Take care. Jay Bundy.
Hey, Doug, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Oh, great. Dude, I can't compliment you enough for playing that Daryl clip and also throwing yourself in the middle of some of the stuff that's been going on in the community
Yeah.
lately.
Isn't Daryl great? Oh, man.
Yeah, he really is. Actually, hang on. All right, so my students have been reading a book by this guy named David Sloan Wilson, right? And he says, selfishness beats altruism within groups. Altruistic groups beat selfish groups. Everything else is commentary. And the one thing I wanted kind of to mention based off that, because I've been reading this book in my class, he's actually coming to talk to some of my students. I'm really excited about it. But I think we sort of overrate tribalism. And the one thing I kind of left a super chat about was I think in like Daryl's experience, we underrate.
Well, thanks for the. I probably missed it, right? Thanks.
No worries. We underrate the joy that comes from that, right? And when I play that out, sort of like an evolutionary imagination, I think like, yes, there is tribalism, but there's also this reward for coming back to your group and saying, hey, I went over there to the other tribe. I risked all that animosity. And guess what? Not only are they not going to kill us, they said if we come over and we got some stuff to trade, they're willing to trade. And if the tribe from 3 tribes away comes over and invades us, they'll help us if we come help them, right? And
you're describing the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers in Alberta, but go on.
Is this what they did?
Yeah, I went to Edmonton.
Yeah.
They actually don't hate us. I mean, we can trade hockey cards and everything.
Yeah, right. And then you go over and then they don't. And everybody goes, oh, you're right. We can reason. Now, I'm not saying it works every time. And I'm not saying that it doesn't come with those risks. But I think something that gets easily lost in both those in that conversation is we just go, so even with Dr. Price, right? Even him a little bit, he went to we've also got to tear him down and be super strong and make sure we make a point. And it's like, well, part of our cooperation with other nations and other societies and other large international communities is that we're not those people. And the fact that we're not those people is some of how we draw all of that cooperation that allows us to thrive, right? And yes, sometimes that does mean we're slow to do certain things, and you know what I mean? Like it's not all perfect, but yeah, that's just kind of my thought. And here's where I wanted to go with it really and get your feedback on is I think we should also acknowledge the tribalism, particularly like, let's say atheism and Christianity, right? And I'm trying to make this point even to my colleagues within science. We're not reaching certain students because they're existing in cultures that shun what we're about. So they're not going to come into your classroom. You have to go into where they are, build relationships with them, and cross that bridge. And some of us now being former believers, that could be like our superpower, because you can plan your weekend and know you're going to have to get up on Sunday morning, and you're used to being evangelized to and going to the Bible studies and listening to the songs in the morning. And now you can tolerate some of that and then have that conversation after church, or have that conversation in a
Are you
small
telling me to
group.
go back to church, Jay?
Doug, every time I come on your channel, I'm telling you to go back to church, and I'm gonna keep telling you. But yeah, man, appreciate the time. That's really. But what do you think about that? Sort of the idea that now that you know kind of the ways and means of both tribes, you're now in a unique position.
I think you're right. It just, I so much enjoy not going to church. It'd be hard for me to go to church because
For sure. I get that. I mean, for sure. And also I realize it's a risk, right? For some of us, not everybody can do it, right? I can do it. Part of the reason I can do it is because I play drums, right? I get to have a lot of fun on Sunday morning. But for a lot of people, I know it's really hard and painful. I just know for a lot of people,
you
it's
convicted
really
me here,
important.
Jay.
Yeah.
I got to tell you a secret. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Can you turn my volume down a bit? You're convicting me because I'll be honest, when I put that poll up, can you be like Daryl Davis? I quickly answered yes. But you've made me out to be a hypocrite because I just said, I just can't see myself. If Daryl Davis can go into a KKK meeting, why can't I go to church?
That was kind of where I was headed with
Shut
it,
up,
right?
Jay. You're just causing me to look bad.
Doug, listen, I'm going to go flagellate myself because I am, my aspirations are to be a deacon in the Church of PineCreek, and I cannot embarrass the high leader. I'm going to go flagellate myself. I might not ever return because I might be too scarred from what I've done to you. But if you could just forgive me.
I hope
and have
nobody
mercy on
clips
my
this.
soul.
If this gets out and goes viral, I'm done.
I gotta go.
Get out of here. Look what you've done. Okay, this is the last caller, and I know the Franklin. He's my friend who is a Christian conservative who
myself.
I gotta mute him. There. Are you there now without the background? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, I don't want this to be long like last time, so just
Yeah, I was just gonna say it feels like you're wrapping up. So what I was gonna say was I noticed in my experience whenever I watch political pundits that pit two people who have the very different views. Sorry, I got dogs barking in the background too. And basically what I noticed is that they'll have polar opposite views, but it appears they both believe what they're saying. And in regards to answering that question in Daryl Davis, it just seems to me the answer is they're both wrong or one of them is wrong, but both believe they're right. And I would want to know which side of that coin I am on. And I don't want to just think I'm right. I want to know I'm right. And in order to do that, I have to get the information from the people who believe the opposite of me. And to sort of go in with this built up, or not even go in, so people who answer no, I don't know what, I just want to find out if I'm wrong. So it's not even really an unselfish motive for me. I mean, you can treat people nice for a very selfish reason. You're kind of just wanting to know, because if I'm wrong, I want to become right. I want to move over to the correct position. So it's not even really, this, moral thing.
What would be interesting is if Daryl Davis were here and and ask him, name some things that the KKK members were right about, in your opinion. And actually, he did that on Joe Rogan. He said, there are more African Americans in jail, and he has explanations for them. There are fewer African Americans who graduate with high school or have degrees, whatever he said. So it's amazing that he feels totally okay with admitting true things, even if it makes his tribe, in quotes, look bad.
Yeah, and I think this goes for anything. Obviously you deal a lot with the religious aspect of stuff, and it, obviously it evidently delves into the political spectrum as well. We see that with this. I've been enjoying it, by the way. So
enjoying what specifically?
I've been enjoying the conversation about the Bob Price and.
That's not
it.
it.
I've been watching a lot of your fellow atheists flip out, and
I thought you were going to say you're enjoying the division amongst atheists. Yeah, see, that's it. I see the smile.
Well, you remember I asked you that cognitive dissonance question last time in regards to political, because I noticed this. I mean, it's like a lot of atheists tend to be very left-leaning, which, it's weird because I think that matches the Bible, but I'm obviously biased. But to me, if it was just a purely naturalistic realm, I would expect them to be very libertarian, because that's a very libertarian stance. And atheism to me seems like a very libertarian stance. And I don't know why there aren't more libertarian atheists.
That's a good point, actually. But I think for a lot of atheists, especially ones that used to be religious, they need a replacement, and a replacement that makes them feel good. And well, you're saying libertarianism would make them feel good too, but I don't know. Like secular humanism can be viewed as a religion. And so I think that's the replacement for most atheists who've come out of Islam or Christianity.
Well, I've my biblical stance is that if you dethrone God as the authority, you're going to necessarily exalt man and that's why they become more socialistic in their view. I would argue Babylon was the first communist society. So I don't think it's a coincidence that when you see communist places or communist nations, they tend to define themselves as atheists. So I'll go ahead and let you go. My dogs are barking and everything, and I know you wanted to make it short. So
yeah, okay. Well, thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Doug.
See ya. All right, let's focus in on the chat a little bit here. Yeah, I gotta remember to put the links in. Put the links in for all the Daryl Davis stuff. Well, actually, you can just type Daryl Davis. Type in Daryl Davis Black Man KKK. You'll get a ton of stuff on YouTube. And why is my volume flipping out? Thanks, John. Time for sleep and then go to the gym early. Yes, because that will make you feel really, really good. It's better than getting down on your knees and praying, says Mark Wahlberg. People like Daryl Davis and Anthony Magnabosco changed my life. Anthony Magnabosco has had a big impact on me too, for the positive. Too bad he can't play poker. Sorry, Jerome, next time. I'm probably one of those people who cannot do what Daryl does, to be fair. I understand, Jerome, it's tough. No one should be libertarian because it's stupid. I am registered libertarian and an atheist. Oh, those two comments side by side. Hey, Bill and Chad, don't fight, okay? Love each other. I don't love each other. That's terrible. Like each other. Love is reserved for special people. How can theists complain that atheists exalt man when they also say that atheism makes man unimportant? Meaningless, right? Yeah, good point. My apologies to Daryl Davis and Joe Rogan. They're both waiting here wanting to come on, but unfortunately, we ran out of time.